I know many of you are already familiar with web pages such as Google, Facebook, and YouTube, but have you ever wanted to know how these web pages were made? We're going to take a look at HTML, which is known as the Hypertext Markup Language, and that's the language that is used to make web pages. I want to start off with something really basic first of all. We're here at the web page that should introduce you to the basics of HTML, and you'll find this provided on the CP102 web page under HTML1. If we scroll down quite a bit, there's some documentation that you've probably already gone through, but I just want to find this area here where we've got some text in a gray box. These are the HTML tags that are used to make a very basic web page. So I'm going to show you how we can first create a web page and view it locally on our computer in our web browser. So I'm going to select all of this text in the gray box, and I can use my mouse to right-click and choose Copy. And now it's copied to the Windows clipboard. Now the easiest way to make a web page is just to use Notepad, a simple text editor that's provided on each computer. We can go to the Start menu, click on All Programs, find Accessories, and you should be able to find Notepad very easily. Notepad will pop open, and one really neat trick I like about Windows 7 is if I click on the title bar, which is where it says the name of the program, I can simply drag to the right-hand side, and now I've got it covering half of my screen. So I'm going to simply Control V, which will paste in the text, and I can see that there is this little area or a tag that says Title, which will show the title of my page, and there's an area called the body, and the body of the document should say, this is my first home page, and then there'll be some other text which is in bold. So I'm going to save this file by using Control S or the menus, and I can save it to my documentation, my data folder somewhere on your iDrive, CP102, and then create a new folder called HTML1. HTML1. And this document will be a text file. All web pages are actually just text files, but we can't just leave the .txt extension at the very bottom or at the end of the file. I'm going to call this sample.html. So if I change the file extension, this means that I'd be able to double-click on the file and it'll open in my web browser. Now notice that there is the ability to switch to different types of documents, but there's really only one type that is created by a text editor like Notepad, and that's ASCII text files or ANSI text files. So I call it sample.html and I click Save. Now this file has been saved to the hard drive, so I can close it for now. And I've got my web browser open. Now you can use Internet Explorer or Firefox, and you can even do some of this on a Mac using Safari if you know how to access the text editor on your Mac. And in your web browser, I'm going to just start, in my web browser, I'm going to start a new tab, and it gets me a blank tab. So now that I always have the ability to look back at the web page that I need, and I can look at the web page that I've just made. Now I can actually go into the File menu if I'm using a different version of my web browser. But if you notice that sometimes in Internet Explorer 8, there's no File menu. So you can hit just Control O for Control Open, and you'll get the same thing if you hit File and Open. There's actually an easier way to go about this if you don't want to remember Control O. Under the Tools menu, if you happen to use this version of Internet Explorer, you'll find that there's a section called Toolbars, and the actual menu bar has been removed, but you can just click the menu bar item and it puts a check mark beside it, and you can see that I now have my menu bar at the top of my browser window. So I can choose File, and I can choose Open at any time, and I get the same File Open box. Now usually what happens is you can't just type in the name of your file, you actually have to click Browse. So I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to go to my Documents or your home directory, in your CP102 folder inside HTML1, and you'll find that sample.html is a file that's already selected. Now you might see a different icon on mine here because I have a different web browser on my computer, but if you just click Open, you'll see that the name of the file gets placed in the Open dialog, so I can click OK, and now my file gets opened inside my web browser. Now I've opened it on the wrong tab, so I'm going to go back to the main page, click on my new tab. Now I can go File, Open, Browse, and I still have the file selected, and I can click on OK. And now I can see the very first web page that I've ever created. Up at the top in the title bar, you can see that it says Title of Page, and we notice that in the title tag found in the HTML. And then in the body of the document, we have the first line of text that I had indicated, and even some of it is in bold. Now what I can do is I can actually open that file page from Notepad, back in Accessories, Notepad, open it back up again. Probably shouldn't have closed it in the first place. CP102, HTML, and you can't see it because it's looking for text files, so I can choose all files, and I can still now choose sample.html and view it inside my page. So now I can look at my HTML side by side with my web browser. So we have the first tag, the starting HTML tag at the top, and of course all tags are enclosed in angle brackets, the left or the less than sign and the greater than sign. And you see at the top that I have the HTML tag, and then I have a whole bunch of tags in the middle. At the very bottom is the closing HTML tag. And a closing tag is the same as the opening or starting tag, except that it has a / in front of it. So remember that all tags are enclosed in angle brackets, and the tags are very easy to remember, and we'll see quite a few of them, and just some basics to get us started. But you'll also notice that most tags are paired. So there's a starting tag and an ending tag. For very basic HTML, we're going to be going with this format of almost all of the tags have paired with a starting and an ending tag. So just very briefly, I do have two sections to an HTML document. I have the head of the document at the top, and the head of the document doesn't actually contain anything that you see in the body of the web document or in the window of your web browser, but you can see that this title tag, which has a starting tag and an ending tag, and it says the title of page, simply reflects the title that's in the top of the title bar. There are some other tags that you could place in the head of the document once you become more familiar with web design and HTML. These are known as meta tags because they're tags that are about what the web page is about, or it describes the web page. Now the other section that I have here is known as the body of the document. Now anything in the body is going to appear in the white area or the body of the document. So you can see that I have my first text, which is my first home page, and you see that I include my first text or my first tag that modifies text within a web browser. So this is the bold tag. So B for bold, very easy to remember. The angle brackets enclose the letter B, and this starts the bold process, or it says from now on everything is going to be bold. So I get to the end of the sentence, and then I close the bold tag with a /B, or an ending or a /bold tag. So that's the very basics of HTML using a simple text editor like Notepad.